Well, a very good evening to you. You are just in time for Channel 1 News Hour on a day when Parliament will be going back to the courts to challenge the decision by the Chief Justice advising the President to dissolve Parliament. What does this mean? Details coming your way on Channel 1 News Hour. For now, let's focus what's also coming up in the highlights.
Commission regrets that the Chief Justice appears to be willing, even eager, to plunge the country into a constitutional crisis without exercising wisdom and circumspection that is expected of the high office that he holds. Of course, elections are not just a walk in the park. They require to be financed.
The divisive gender agenda. MPs divided over move by the Chief Justice to advise for dissolution of Parliament. COVID-19 burial guidelines. Ministry of Health gives greater room for families to participate in the final rites of COVID-19 victims. And KEMSA probe. KEMSA risks loss of 2.3 billion shillings in dead stock of personal protective equipment.
Welcome back. Lucy Moura is our sign language interpreter, and my name is Catherine Achieng'a. Let's start off with the events that transpired earlier in Parliament, where the Parliamentary Service Commission will now challenge in the High Court the Chief Justice advisory opinion seeking Parliament's dissolution. The Commission's chairperson, the Speaker, Justin Muturi, says the advisory opinion by the head of the Judiciary is likely to plunge the country into a constitutional crisis. MPs have, however, expressed mixed reactions, with almost all female legislators supporting calls for dissolution. Kevin Washira starts off our coverage tonight with that update.
As the President ponders on the advisory opinion by Chief Justice David Maraga seeking dissolution of Parliament for failing to enact the 2/3 gender law, Parliamentary Service Commission has dispatched its counsel to challenge the Chief Justice action in the High Court. The Commission accuses Chief Justice of acting in a manner likely to plunge the country into a constitutional crisis. Speaker Justin Muturi says the country should not be subjected to the dire effects of dissolving Parliament at this time.
The Commission regrets that the Chief Justice appears to be willing, even eager, to plunge the country into a constitutional crisis without exercising wisdom and circumspection that is expected of the high office that he holds. Of course, elections are not just a walk in the park. They require to be financed.
A section of male MPs who have previously voted against gender bill echoed sentiments of the Parliamentary Service Commission, saying the blame cannot be laid solely on Parliament.
It was a constitutional mistake for us to have it in the Constitution. Why do I say this? The same Constitution says men and women are equal. If we are equal, why do we want to favor either gender, both male or female?
But if I were the president, I would actually dissolve Parliament, whatever the circumstances. Because you've seen the kind of politics that is going on, a lot of noise making, a lot of, tanga, all this manner of people, groups of politicians who are fighting for a war.
If Parliament will dissolve, then the entire nation, the entire electoral processes will have to be dissolved. That therefore means that the president will have to go home, the governors will have to go home, the senators, the members of the county assemblies, all will have to go home. And the question that will therefore come into fore, as much as members of Parliament do not have a time limit when they can dispense their duties within the assembly or within the Republic of Kenya, what then happens to President Uhuru Kenyatta? Does he therefore have the legal mandate to run for a third term? What about the governors who have served their 2 terms?
But a section of women MPs have supported Chief Justice David Maraga's position to have Parliament dissolved.
Since the last Parliament, we have taken our male colleagues even to dinner, to dance. We have jumped, we have screamed, we have cajoled, we have bembelezed. Nothing has brought us results. If dissolving Parliament is going to bring us the results, then so be it.
The move also generated public debate among a cross-section of Kenyans.
na hatujui kwamba ukienda kwa uchaguzi baada ya siku chache Wakenya watachagua vipi. Hawezi lazimisha Wakenya vile watavyopiga kura.
The ball is now with the president, whom the constitution does not give timelines as to when he shall dissolve parliament after the advisory of Chief Justice. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
Now, those are the sentiments by members of parliament outside the chambers. But inside the chambers, the Senate and the National Assembly adjourned its day's normal business to discuss Chief Justice David Maraga's advisory opinion to the president that seeks to dissolve the parliament. While male MPs appeared to dismiss Chief Justice's calls for dissolution of parliament, their female counterparts supported the CJ, terming his move as bold and in the right direction. Let's take a look.
One by-election then in one constituency called Msambweni. Even the body that is tasked with conducting elections realized that under the circumstances, under the COVID crisis, under this pandemic, holding one special election was difficult. And here somebody comes and says, go back for a general election, because literally what this means is a general election.
The CJ seems to accuse us for having been carelessly lazy attitude. That is not a word you'd use if you don't have anything specific against this institution.
How are we going to solve this constitutional crisis by just having an advisory to the president? The president has no power to solve this house. We are not a creation of the president in the first place.
I'm unable to agree with an interpretation that would precipitate a bigger constitutional crisis while trying to solve a small constitutional crisis. And it is on that reason that I believe that although the CJ has advised the president to dissolve parliament, that particular advice should not be adopted.
As the commission has gone to court, which will may buy us some time, let us also be alive to political realities and find a way out, get a small team from among parliamentarians with the diverse views and seek for a way out.
You dissolve parliament today, go on election in 90 days, chances are that there will be further default if those mechanisms that are contemplated in this constitution are not put in before that dissolution. And therefore, it is my view that the Chief Justice acted prematurely, in a hurry, and without ensuring that certain minimal things were done.
The Chief Justice is a holder of an office that must not advise or make advice that is pedantic, advice that cannot be implemented, advice that has the potential of causing chaos.
Every citizen in this country has a right to make a political choice. It is guaranteed in the Constitution. You can't then force them to make a choice in a particular manner. How do we achieve the gender parity without throwing the country into turmoil? What the Chief Justice has done can easily create a serious crisis in the country.
Madam Speaker, if there's any constitutional crisis or pandemonium that's being said will happen, it is not because of the CJ. It is because of the lack and failure of this House to do what they should have done 10 years ago.
Also, just some sentiments in Parliament. Of course, we'll continue keeping tab on what transpires once Parliament moves to the courts. Now, in other news, the Ministry of Health has released new guidelines for the burial of patients who succumb to COVID-19 related symptoms. The revised guidelines give families and communities a greater say in the handling and planning for the burial of their loved ones under strict supervision from the Ministry of Health. This comes as the number of COVID-19 fatalities climbed in the country to 659 after 9 people succumbed to the virus. Emily K. Bade with details of the revised guidelines.
7 months since the first COVID-19 case was announced in the country, the Ministry of Health has revised its guidelines on the handling of bodies of patients who pass away as a result of coronavirus.
And so today, and with this in mind, the Ministry of Health has updated the burial guidelines that were last issued in March 2020. The new set of guidelines is as promised last week to you and conforms to the current evidence that we have.
In the revised guidelines, it will no longer be necessary for the Ministry of Health teams dressed in full personal protective gear, as has been the case, to take over the burial plans as families watch from a distance with limited participation. Their burials, sometimes conducted in the dead of the night, oblivious to religious and cultural practices.
The families will from now henceforth take center stage in burial ceremonies, with the Ministry of Health officials only present to guide the process to ensure continued safety.
The new guidelines will allow safe burial rites as may be dictated by the religion or culture of the deceased person. Families will also be required to identify healthy members of their family who have no increased risk of COVID-19 outcomes and safely use the recommended PPEs in the burial process.
This means that if in your family you have someone who is diabetic, hypertensive, elderly, or a child, the Ministry of Health recommends that these individuals cannot participate in the role of being pallbearers, and families should instead find somebody who has no increased risk of infection of COVID-19.
The revised guidelines also ban the opening of the casket for viewing of the body. Social distancing rules remain in force, and the Ministry of Health officials will only be present to guide the process and ensure safety protocols are observed.
You are still not allowed to wash that body. It could still be infective. And once the body is placed in that double bag and then placed in the casket, you are not allowed to open that casket.
We continue to appeal to our people to strictly adhere to other containment measures, including ensuring hand washing stations are available during funeral services, wearing of masks continues in all public spaces, including burial ceremonies, and maintaining of social and physical distancing.
The release of the new guidelines comes as the number of COVID-19 fatalities increased by 9 overnight to 659. 139 new infections were also reported from a sample size of 1,774, bringing the total to 37,218. Out of the new cases recorded, the youngest was a 4-year-old while the oldest was 82 years. Over the same period, 198 recoveries were recorded, with 46 from the home-based care program and the remaining 152 from the various health facilities across the country, pushing the total recoveries to 24,174. For Channel 1 News, I am Emily K. Bade.
And cinema enthusiasts will now have a chance to watch a movie outdoors beginning this week following the launch of a drive-in cinema in Nairobi's Galleria shopping mall. This is the first time a drive-in cinema will be screened as part of efforts by the Kenya Film and Classification Board to revive the movie industry that was hard hit by the coronavirus pandemic. Yusuf Farah with the details.
The Kenya Film Classification Board has rolled out a post-COVID-19 business model to ensure the film industry survives as the effects of the pandemic continue to take a toll on the industry. Movie theaters have remained largely deserted, prompting industry players to consider alternative ways to attract movie lovers to the cinema. Beginning on the 25th to 27th, a drive-in cinema will be launched for those seeking entertainment as part of the COVID-19 containment measures.
All roads lead to Galleria, where we are opening a new model of cinema going that is not closed door, but which is open. And we are hoping that working with the county governments, we are going to create mobile cinema units under our cinema machinani, and working with KBC and the studio machinani, that will take films to the people, films for the people, by the people, and open up studios, and with those mobile vans, be able to distribute content and let our people watch content in open air spaces.
In addition, the film industry has embraced ICT, with the Ministry of ICT Chief Administrative Secretary Maureen Mbaka lauding the Kenya Film Classification Board for regulating broadcast content to avoid erosion of the African culture.
Content regulation is key to national development, as without it, creative expression can be extended to bounds that could undermine our culture and our values or cause harm to our children.
KFC Board Chair Bishop Jackson Kosgei challenged the filmmakers to tell the African story.
All the scribes or the writers of news are being driven by a foreign agenda. I speak with that authority because I'm an African. I believe in Pan-Africanism, and without believing in ourselves, we will be only listening and depending on others to tell our story.
The rollout of the drive-in cinema coincided with an initiative by the Kenya Film Commission to build talent and expand the audience. KFC CEO Timothy Owasi says the commission has established a satellite account survey room program to allow film students access data on, among others, national heritage and culture.
It is not sufficient for us to just produce film, but these films must be consumed, must be bought by Kenyans. That's why the commission is deliberately championing the drive-in cinema, because it's compliant with the COVID-19 regulations. And at the same time, we are saying that you can actually come with your family inside your car and you'll be able to enjoy the film with your family.
According to Owase, tutorial institutions are facilities that would support content generation in storytelling. Daystar Vice Chancellor Professor Laban Airo says the institution will maximize on KFC's mandate to develop, promote and market the film industry internationally.
The end game is really to improve the economic status of our young population, but also socially to have a stable country where people enjoy a true quality life.
The Kenya Film Commission says generated content will be aired on KBC's affiliate TV station Y254. The Kenya Broadcasting Corporation is in a partnership deal with KFC in boosting talent through My County, My Story and Studio Mashinani programs. Yusuf Farah, Channel 1 News.
Well, for movie lovers, you know where you can be able to watch the movie as we continue to battle the coronavirus. Well, it's time for Channel 1 News Hour to take a short break. But of course, remember we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and you can also catch us live on YouTube. I'm getting a few comments from those who are watching us on Facebook. We have Ravin Devi, who is saying you're watching us from Kisii. Ruth Mwasema, you are saying you're locked to KBC Channel 1. We have Nicolas Anzani saying you're watching us live from Soin Eldoret. Rashid Haro, you say you are tuned in from Garbatula. And Stephen Mokaya, you say you're locked and activated from Ruaka here in Nairobi. So just keep your feedback coming regarding Channel 1 News Hour and what you think about some of the stories that we are airing for you. But for now, let's take a short break. But when we come back, we have lots of news, including business and sports, and later on the weather report. So stay tuned.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola. Taste the simple joys.
This Wednesday on KBC Channel 1.
You're not the only one who thinks that. If that were so, I would ask the police myself to go find him until we can clear this matter up. Ramon?
Zenaida!
It's him.
Put the speaker on, put it on, and calm down. Just relax. Calm down and make sure to talk to him.
In Love with Ramon.
I see me, I feel love from a distance. What? Come my way.
Anything that you want, oh my love, I'm gonna give you one with just two sweet reggae.
I must see close for line. I will and find time for hang out.
Next on.
It is highly unlikely that one would catch COVID-19 from food or food packaging. COVID-19 is a respiratory condition and it is mostly spread through droplets.
Data from UNESCO shows that half of learners worldwide do not have a household computer, while in sub-Saharan Africa alone, 89% do not have computers and 82% lack access to the internet. As schools shifted to online learning, one man in Nigeria has found a way of ensuring that students from disadvantaged backgrounds are able to continue learning remotely like their more privileged peers.
How are you doing this morning? So good to see you.
kitu yote ndawai do iko tu sawa kwa macho yako.
Unataka kuwako?
Ati nini? Why are you people shouting?
Are you okay?
Mwanamke wewe ninakuona sana. Ni wanaume hapa Mombasa wameisha.
Ni nini mbaya? Nowadays we have so many unfaithful people.
What?
We need to talk about her every time we are together.
And be very careful the way you address me.
Zako zinakuangaje? Huwezi kaa dakika mbili hata bila kuteta.
You will all sign new contracts.
And I am supposed to be briefed.
What? Taki ujinga.
Oof.
Welcome back. You're watching Channel 1 News Hour. Now, the National Assembly Health Committee will Wednesday grill top leadership at the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency, KEMSA, over imminent losses said to be worth billions of shillings in unsold personal protective equipment lying in KEMSA depot. During an inspection tour to unravel the 7.3 billion shilling alleged scandal, the agency told the Sabina Chege-led committee that KEMSA anticipates suffering at least 2.3 billion shillings loss from personal protective equipment in dead stock.
Investigations into the billions of shillings alleged KEMSA scandal continue making headways as the country awaits a report into the scam that casted doubts on the ability of the Kenya's licensed medical agency to boost effort of the nation in battling coronavirus COVID-19. On Tuesday, National Assembly Committee on Health toured KEMSA depots in Nairobi and Bakasi area to establish submissions by the agency that 6.2 billion shillings worth of stock might be rendered useless.
The relationship between the communication between the board and the management, we have established some gaps. Because the management seems to have been doing things without the consultation of the board. Though the timelines were very minimal, and the board seems to be meeting after maybe 3-4 months. But I think with the COVID, they would have reacted faster than they did. But I don't want to preempt anything in our report. So we will be sitting in to look at how KEMSA is managed. Because for now, there are many, many gaps that we established.
According to the Health Committee chairperson Sabina Chege, KEMSA is likely to suffer much higher loss since they have 6.2 billion shillings of PPEs in stock and no one wants to purchase them.
So they overprocured. And so the prices currently are low as 250 in the market. Them they're selling at 735. So who is going to buy? And that's the discussion we're going to have with the management tomorrow. But it is also difficult for us to tell them sell the dead stock because some of the items even that are here in the warehouse are not negotiated. So really, we cannot tell that the loss is 1 billion or 2 billion because it's not even negotiated. So they need to quickly sit with the suppliers and negotiate and agree. If the suppliers are not willing to buy at that price, are they willing to take away the items?
The committee will be seeking answers on whose directive KEMSA bought PPEs worth 7.2 billion shillings in anticipation that coronavirus would spike, but other suppliers flooded the market, pushing prices down.
One that was authorized by ministry they had already given 1.5 but allowed 758 million to be spent, and that was done. But KEMSA itself used its own resources, 7.1 billion, to procure other items, hoping that they will sell them. That is what they are calling dead stock now because they have only managed to sell 1 billion worth of items.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mongai.
And now police in Embu are investigating an incident where 20 people armed with machetes raided Kamviu Coffee Factory and killed a watchman and seriously wounded another. Embu North, the Deputy County Commissioner Jeremiah Tumo says initial investigations indicate that the attackers were not after coffee but some other mission, given that no coffee was stolen. Elsewhere, a 38-year-old man has been admitted at Nyahururu County Referral Hospital in critical condition after he was attacked by a hippo.
These pictures tell of what befell Gakundu Farmers Cooperative Society. A night raid leaving one watchman dead while another is fighting for his life at a local hospital. According to Embu North Deputy County Commissioner Jeremiah Tumo, the authorities are following up on 3 motives. That's a factory rivalry between the 14 factories in Manyata, land or politics. The administrator warning that no one will be spared if found culpable.
Na ninapoongea wakati huu maafisa wangu wa ujasusi wameingia kule kwa ground na wameanzisha uchunguzi, na tunafikiri kwamba yule bawabu mmoja ambaye aliweza kunusurika atatupatia habari kamili ambayo itatuwezesha tuweze kuelewa aswa ni nani alihusika.
The DCC added that the factory managers and staff will also be investigated to determine if they had any involvement in the matter. In Nyahururu, a 38-year-old man has been admitted at Nyahururu County Referral Hospital in critical condition after he was attacked by a hippopotamus Monday morning. Matthew Kipkurui, a father of two, was heading to work in the morning when he was attacked by the animal at Manguo area in the outskirts of Nyahururu town.
Hii mnyama ikatusikia tukiongea ikanyamaza. Kukaripia ikaanza kunirukia na niangusha kwa mdara. Na ikaniuma.
This is a farmer in Kirinyaga County is counting losses after his 9 piglets worth 41,000 shillings were allegedly poisoned by unknown people. The farmer Jeremiah Karimi of Kiamwenja village, Kirinyaga Central, said he bought the piglets 2 weeks ago.
And now dog owners in Munyu village in Kiambu County are counting losses after at least 20 of their dogs died from a strange disease in a period of 3 weeks. The dogs have been exhibiting diarrhea, fever, vomiting, deep coughs, and loss of appetite before succumbing to what remains an unknown disease.
It is said to be a man's best friend, so when due to an unexplained reasons, 20 of these canines, all from the same area, exhibit similar symptoms and die soon after, then there is enough reason for man to be worried.
Nimekuwa hapa na ile ugonjwa nimeona hapa ya umbwa haijaonekana hapa Munyu. Symptoms inaanza kukohoa. Kutoka kukohoa ina lose appetite. Ina lose appetite na inarara sana. Alafu inaanza kutapika na kukunywa maji sana. Inatapika maji peke yake bila kitu, bila chakula kwa sababu haikuri. Tunaomba watupatie madaktari wakuje hapa waangalie hii ugonjwa ya aina gani.
It is this unusual occurrence the dog owners in Munyu village, Thika East, has left them wondering what is ailing their dogs. Michael Karanja, whose 2 dogs succumbed to the unknown disease less than a week ago, said that the canines have been developing fever, weakness and lack of appetite.
Ya hizi umbwa ni saa ingine ukipea chakula unaona haitaki kukula. After that unaona tu inakaa tu kama inararara. Kutoka hapo sasa ikirara unakuta sasa imekufa.
Karanja said that the animals have been very useful in the fight against cattle theft that is rampant in the area, adding that their abrupt death has left them vulnerable. Residents say despite raising the matter with relevant authorities, nothing has been done to tame the situation. They're now calling on government's veterinary officers to come to their aid to help save their dogs from extinction.
Tunahofia sana juu ujuku kwetu tumefuga buzi, kuna kuku, kuna hata ng'ombe, hata vile watoto wetu. Juu tumezoea sisi, unajua kwa mbwa kawaida yake huwa ni rafiki ya binadamu. Kwa hivyo tunahofia huyu mbwa anaweza kuja kwako alafu akuambukize magonjwa kwa maana hiyo makamasi yenye anatoa hata panguza ndio akuje kwako.
Quite unfortunate. Something needs to be done to investigate what's happening there. Now, in the Kenya National Union of Teachers Secretary General Wilson Sossion has said that teachers are ready to recover the time lost when schools reopen. His assurance coming as teachers plan to report back to their workstations by Monday, September the 28th, as ordered by the Teachers Service Commission.
George. The road to reopening of learning institutions seems clear, with plans to ensure adherence to the Ministry of Health's COVID-19 safety protocols already on course. The Teacher Service Commission had on Monday ordered both primary and secondary school teachers to report back to their working stations by September 28th, ahead of the eventual reopening of schools. Kenya National Union of Teachers Secretary General Wilson Sossion now weighing in on the matter, urging teachers to adhere to the directive by TAC.
It is not said you report on Monday. They can report today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and by Monday. One of the key issues, we are urging all teachers, report for duty. You have all the time. That one, there is no debate about it. And we are not negotiating. We have committed ourselves as your representatives, go back to school.
Sosion also added that teachers are ready to recover the time that was lost when schools closed at the onset of the outbreak of COVID-19.
We need all the children. That's our message today. And we need all of them safe. And we are prepared to have them. So whatever pronouncement with the times, don't waste a lot of energy about the time, when and how. Parents are not ready, this and that is missing. Let all the children come back to school. We shall have everything prepared for them. That one the government should prepare. If the government cannot prepare, the schools will prepare. If the schools cannot prepare, we'll have to do what is necessary to make sure that our children are safely learning and are safe in school, and all of them are back.
All teachers are expected to report back to school, including those above 58 years and those with underlying medical conditions, contrary to an earlier directive by TSC that this category of teachers should remain at home even after schools reopen. Sosion emphasizing the need to ensure the safety of not just the learners but also the teachers. Sosion, who was speaking during the launch of a gender-based violence sensitization program at the NAT headquarters in Nairobi, urged the teachers to ensure that all learners report back to school, including those who were pregnant.
Number one responsibility that Kenya National Union of Teachers is calling on our members when they resume on Monday is to map out and ensure that all girls and boys are back in school. That is our message. Even girls who are pregnant, bring them back to school. Bring them back to school.
With over 380,000 teachers expected back to school, learners will have to wait longer because the Ministry of Education is yet to announce the dates for resumption of in-person learning. For Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Achieng'a.
And now the Judicial Service Commission wants the High Court to quash ex parte orders seeking to suspend the hearing of the Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu before the Commission. The Independent Commission says if the orders are not stopped, they will interfere with 4 pending petitions before it's seeking for the removal of Mwilu from office. The DCI and DPP have sought to be enjoined in the application whose ruling is set for the 7th of October. Sarafina Robi with the details.
The Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu now faces a new task after the Judicial Service Commission moved to the High Court to stop ex parte orders to suspend the hearing of her case before the Commission. Mwilu obtained orders stopping the Judicial Service Commission from continuing with the hearings of a case by the DPP and DCI seeking her removal from office over alleged misconduct. According to the Commission, the orders have a negative impact on its constitutional mandate and may interfere with 4 pending petitions before it, seeking for the removal of Mwilu from office. The Judicial Service Commission has also opposed an application by Mwilu seeking the recusal of Paul Kihara Kariuki and Macharia Njeru in the case. Appearing before Justice Weldon Korir, the DCI and DPP asked to be enjoined in the application. The ruling will be on the 7th of October. Meanwhile, 4 accused persons, William Micheka Makonge, Clesensia Onsake Mongare, Julius Ngala Atilo, and Beatrice Auma Ojuang, are facing child stealing charges. In an affidavit from the investigating officer, the police rescued 8 children from the suspects. The suspects are believed to be part of a wider child stealing syndicate. Magistrate Bernard Ochoi ordered the 4 to be released on a bond of 100,000 shillings and a surety of a similar amount and a cash bail of 50,000 shillings. The magistrate also directed the suspects report to the police stations whenever required, warning them against interfering with the case. For Channel 1 News, I'm Sarafina Robbie.
And now police in Mombasa are reporting a decline in the crime rate, attributing it to increased surveillance and the enforcement of the countrywide dusk to dawn curfew. Mombasa County Commissioner Gilbert Kitio warned criminal elements within the town their days are numbered. He was speaking during the closure of a 2-day workshop on countering violent extremism. And Boro with the details.
Mombasa County Commissioner Gilbert Kitio says the coastal city is reporting a drop in crime rates, which he attributed to the increased surveillance and the ongoing dusk to dawn curfew imposed as a result of the pandemic. Mombasa County Commissioner, who was attending a two-day workshop on countering violent extremism, cautioned criminal elements that police will not let down their guard post the curfew.
Mtakubaliana nami kwamba wakati huu Mombasa crime rate yake iko chini kuliko wakati wote. Na pia tumesema tunaweka mikakati kwa sababu hatujui wakati ile curfew itaondolewa. Nataka tuchunga hapo sana. Wakati itaondolewa huenda wale wakora tena wakarudi. Lakini tunawaambia tunaongojea siku hiyo. Wakirudi siku hiyo tutakuwa tu pale pale. Hakuna askari wataenda mahali. Hiyo curfew ikiisha, wala askari walikuwa wanachunga mahali wanachunga, wataendelea tu kuchunga pale. Hata wananchi wakiendelea na mambo yao ya kawaida.
Kitio reiterated that they will work closely with the security multi-agency team and human rights groups to ensure that the youth are not radicalized and initiated in criminal gangs, and justice will be served to those found culpable.
Some major resolutions which we have passed is that we need to work as a team. We need to partner so that we counter this thing on violent extremism, and of course we have access to justice for each and everyone. Even those people who have been suspected to have joined extremism and others, they also need to access justice. So that is, in short, what we have agreed, that we need to collaborate so that each and everyone can access justice.
At the same time, the office of the ODPP expressed concern over the lack of witnesses in incidences of terrorism.
One of the biggest challenges we experience as prosecution is failure by people who witnessed some of these crimes come forward to testify against the perpetrators of some of these crimes that we're talking about.
Sentiments shared by Haki Africa Executive Director, who reiterated the need for these officers to work closely with the public in the war on terrorism.
Baadhi ya mikakati ambayo tumekubaliana nayo ambayo dada alikuwa akiuliza, mojawapo ni kupanga mikutano ya hizi idara kuenda kuingiliana na jamii. Kwa hivyo hivi karibuni tutaona mahakama wakiweka mikutano katika jamii, tutaona polisi wakipanga mikutano kwa jamii ili kuwaelezea kazi zao ni gani na kujenga imani katika juhudi zao za kuleta haki katika nchi.
For Channel 1 News Hour from Mombasa County, I am Anburu.
And now police have arrested 12 suspects in possession of 200 kilograms of game meat. The 12 suspected poachers were found transporting giraffe meat estimated at 200,000 shillings in Mashuru, Kajiado County. More details in the county briefs.
The suspects were cornered ferrying the meat that was stashed in a polythene bag with the intention of selling the meat in Kitengela town. The suspects are said to be part of a poacher's racket that has taken Kajiado County captivity in recent weeks, with elephant trophies and wild meat being nabbed in separate incidents in the last 3 weeks.
Walipata watu 12 ambao walikuwa wanabeba nyama, tunasuku ya kwamba ni hiyo twiga, wakitumia wheelbarrow. Hizo nyama walikuwa wamespanga vikundi 8 kama vile mmeona hapa mbele yetu, na wale watu wote walikamatwa na wakaletwa hapa. Hii nyama ni kilo 200 ambayo ina value ya kama 200,000 pesa ya Kenya.
In the meantime, port workers are divided following the recent merger of the Kenya Ports Authority, Kenya Railways Corporation and the Kenya Pipeline Corporation.
Tunataka kujua the fate of our workers. Tupate memorandum ndio tuone the fate of our workers and the fate of the union, kwa sababu ukileta mashirika matatu na kila shirika lina union yake na liko na mkataba wake na tajiri wake, how will it be?
So if the chairman wants to be part of this recommendation, he should resign and join the government, because this recommendation from the government is not a honest recommendation, because it is collapsing 3 acts of parliament, which its process must be go through parliament.
This comes amid the union has resolved to a file case challenging President Uhuru Kenyatta's Executive Order No. 5 of 2020 to collapse the 3 entities into one. Elsewhere, the government will spend 16.3 billion shillings for the rehabilitation and capacity enhancement of the James Gishori Roni Road along the Nairobi-Nakuru Highway. The 25.3-kilometer road is currently at 40% completion, with a total of 10.5 kilometers of the road completed.
One of the challenges is the traders at Kangemi market who have occupied part of the road. Then we have a few land acquisitions which have not been finalized, and we also have a few water pipes that have to be moved. So basically those are the challenges that we have noted as a committee, and we are going to make sure that we sort them out so that the road is completed on time.
And the County First Ladies Association members from 8 counties attended the opening of a cancer unit at Bungoma County Referral Hospital. The unit is the third in the country after Kisumu and Meru. The unit has 9 ventilators used for cancer screening.
Hii kansa inafika kila mahali. Inafika kwa wazee, kwa wamama na hata kwa kina dada na hata kwa watoto pia. Kile kilicho usikue mchoyo kwa kueleza mwenzako. Dada Karo ameleta partners. Governor amempatia nafasi ya kuweka vifaa vyake. Naomba muweze kuwafikia akina mama wenzenu, jamii wengine ili waweze kuleta nini kuwafikia na wapate hizi huduma.
In Migori County, small-scale artisanal gold miners have faulted both the national and county governments over delays to streamline the mining sector. They are decrying environmental degradation and pollution as a result of the mining activities. Finally, residents of Njiko village, Kiamba constituency in Kiambu County, had a reason to smile after the county government supplied them with water pipes that will soon be used to supply clean water.
Tumesikizana nao, tumekaa chini, tumesikizana nao, watatupatia maji. Lakini wametuambia ama wametuahidi itakuwa kama siku 3 in a week. Not more than that, because they are supplying so many people.
Let's now do some business, and Kenya is targeting to have 1 million households setting up kitchen gardens in efforts to boost food security as well as nutrition. Ministry of Agriculture Chief Administrative Secretary Achieng'a says kitchen gardens is one of the easiest and fastest ways households can ensure inexpensive, regular and handy supplies of fresh vegetables, fruits, spices, eggs and meat.
Ministry of Agriculture Chief Administrative Secretary Achieng'a says the COVID-19 pandemic has seen Kenyans acknowledging its potential implications on the national and household food security, as well as the need to diversify into safe, nutritious foods. The Ministry of Agriculture has set up a demonstration and learning site at Kilimo House in Nairobi that has 12 kitchen garden technologies to showcase different technologies that can be used in different agroecological zones, urban and rural areas.
Kitchen gardens, or what we are calling home-based gardens, have been proven as one of the easiest and fastest ways households can ensure inexpensive, regular and handy supply of fresh vegetables, fruits, herbs, spices, eggs and meat.
She says the first phase of the project has supported 200,000 households, while the second will target 230 households in 21 counties.
So our target for phase 2 under CVAP is to support another additional 230,000 households in 21 counties, while we are also encouraging more farmers and communities to apply for more grants under KSAP and NARIC, because these ones we are giving support under in terms of grants, where we are devolving the money to all the counties.
She believes that with proper management of kitchen gardens, households are likely to have excess vegetables that can be preserved for use during lean times.
We want to really pass and appeal to the parents as they partake the establishment of the home and the kitchen gardens. They need to involve their children now that they're at home. So this will be the first step to introducing our kids to agriculture as we await the schools to open.
And now all fishing vessels operating in Kenyan waters will be required to land their catch at the Kenyan ports from March next year. Fishing vessels found to be in contravention of this requirement will have their licenses revoked. President Uhuru Kenyatta made the directive, which is part of a raft of measures aimed at boosting the fisheries sector.
Kenya's quest to reposition the blue economy as a key driver of the nation's economy has seen President Uhuru Kenyatta direct that the ongoing redevelopment of Liwatoni fish landing site into a modern fishing port be complete by March 2021. Upon completion, all fishing vessels operating in Kenyan waters will be required to land their catch at Kenyan ports, with fishing vessels found to be in contravention of this requirement having their licenses revoked. In line with this, the National Treasury has been directed to release funds for the construction of an ultra-modern tuna fish factory at the Liwatoni fishing port. To ensure availability of human resource for the sector, the Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries Ministry is expected to train 1,000 Kenyan fishermen by June next year, who will be absorbed by vessels operating in Kenyan waters. President Kenyatta has also encouraged investors interested in the country's expanding blue economy to take advantage of the reforms in the sector by investing in the country. Kenya's blue economy has the potential to contribute 3 times its present share of gross domestic product, create jobs, and bring prosperity to millions of Kenyans. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
And now luxury brands in Kenya say demand for high-end products has been on the increase as more people join the list of the wealthy. The demand for some products is said to have shot up so much that it is a challenge meeting the market needs. Betty Kiptum spoke with Alexander Hailing, East African Market Manager at Moet and Hennessy, and filed the following report.
Kenya's high-end market has been seeing a steady growth. Luxury brands took a gamble on this and it seems to be paying off. In the alcoholic drinks segment, some brands have registered huge demand.
Sure, and even such big demands that when my company produces a certain quantity of cognac, we are not even able to serve the demand. So we don't have enough liquid. Yes. So we are at that level, which is quite difficult to produce enough for Kenyan market.
Hennessy, which is celebrating 150 years of Hennessy OX, its flagship cognac, says the increased demand is partly driven by a better understanding of brands, as well as mentorship and tasting sessions.
We do a lot of tasting and trainings, because again, our brand is a matter of knowing what you drink. When you know what you drink, which is a 30 years old or a 15 years old, or 7 years old with a VS, you need to understand what you drink. When you understand what you drink, you have much more pleasure by drinking it. Why do you pay an expensive bottle? Well, there's always a reason. It's a luxury brand.
The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the luxury brand sales, and like all other players in the industry, they await the reopening of entertainment joints.
Our drinks are here to be enjoyed, to have company, to share experience. This is all about our brands. So yes, of course, we have been affected, and like other companies, unfortunately. Well, we're waiting for this bad period to end, and bit by bit we'll come back, and I hope that we'll be at the table with friends soon and enjoying a bottle of anything.
Luckily for the company, their products have a longer shelf life. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Sugarcane farmers under the Kenya Sugarcane Growers Association are seeking to be enjoined in a tussle over the expansive 11,000-acre Miwani Sugar Company. A farm that had acquired the land through an auction wants to be compensated 10.5 billion shillings. However, sugarcane farmers through Kenya Sugarcane Growers Association Secretary General Richard Ogendo say the demands are meant to slow or block the ongoing process of leasing out to the private sector 5 state-owned sugar companies, among them Miwani Sugar Company.
We want to state in no uncertain terms that this is community land. These communities have not benefited from their land. They gave out their land for a factory to be built, and now there is no factory there.
Has embarked on a series of charitable activities in the slums with the aim of fulfilling its corporate social responsibility, while at the same time helping families in the slums deal with the harsh economic times occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic. The organization was in Korogocho slums in Nairobi, where it donated foodstuff and other non-perishable food items to families whose breadwinners were affected by the pandemic.
According to the Betting, Lotteries and Gaming Act, lotteries are required to channel 25% of their gross proceeds to charitable activities. The contribution to charitable activities is a condition for the lottery license. The Kenya Charity Sweepstakes officials were in Korogosho slums in Nairobi for charity activities. Here, officials from the farm met two differently abled youth and offered them an opportunity to join the company.
Hiyo kazi imenifanya naweza lipa rent, naweza buy food, naweza pia tumia wazazi wangu pesa ushago wapate food.
In the past, I applied for job, but due to my disability, I did not get the job.
The two noted it had been difficult to get any form of employment because of their condition, and anytime they would get a call for an interview, their disability would become a hindrance. The two will now be part of the customer care desk.
And now an increased demand for second-hand cars has been registered in Turkey as high cost of new cars pushes customers towards the used car market, with a growing number of people avoiding public transportation after the COVID-19 outbreak. Salesmen at the Tech, a second-hand car shop with over 20-year history, say their turnover has soared since the outbreak of coronavirus. Here are the details of this and other stories from across the borders.
In previous years, only 8 to 10 second-hand cars were sold every month at these car bazaar, but this has since doubled to about 20 to 25 cars. The salesmen are now grappling to meet the pent-up demand as they are now pressed to source more second-hand cars for their growing client base. As second-hand cars see rising demand, their prices have risen in proportion to scarcity. So far, the price of used cars in Turkey has remained high for several months. Customers say because of the pandemic, most European car companies stopped production because of change in strategy and cash flow challenges. Elsewhere, thousands of volunteers in Cape Town, South Africa, descended on the city's famed Hout Bay beach with refuse bags in hand with a mission to rid the shore of harmful trash as part of the country's annual International Coastal Cleanup Day. With a coastline that stretches more than 2,800 kilometers, South Africa boasts some of the best beaches in the world. Many of them are situated in the Cape region, but they often need a thorough cleanup. Over the years, the annually commemorated day has galvanized a movement of concerned beachgoers who have come to play their part in clearing the pollution littering the shoreline. Ocean pollution has become a source of concern as the sea has become a dumping ground for all types of waste, which harm the marine life. Finally, a shortage of petrol has persisted in Syria for over 3 weeks, forcing most petrol stations to close and compelling residents to queue for hours for refueling. At a petrol station in downtown Damascus, a queue of vehicles waiting to refuel stretched for about 3 kilometers. Despite the heat, most of the drivers rolled down their car windows rather than use air conditioners so as to save fuel. The fuel shortage has heavily affected local residents' daily life and work. As the shortage of petrol persists, the Syrian government has limited the quotas of private vehicles and taxis to 30 liters every 7 days and 40 liters every 4 days respectively, which has forced many people to give up driving. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Now, preparations are in top gear ahead of next year's World Safari Rally set to be held in Kenya, with over 50 drivers expected to take part in the FIA-organized event. The rally was set to make its comeback on the WRC roster this year for the first time since 2002, but was delayed to 2021 due to the global coronavirus pandemic.
Days after Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed announced the protocols for resumption of non-contact sports in the country, preparations for the WRC Safari Rally are back on track, despite the much-anticipated return of the event being postponed to 2021.
Even after the COVID, we did not stop preparing for it. We are going to organize a world class event. The only difference is the stages are going to be shorter than we used to do. We used to do 3,000, 5,000 kilometers. This time, maximum we are going to do is 350. Competitive and 1,000 including transport.
We will be running an Africa Rally Championship event outside the World Rally Championship event. The idea is to make sure that we do what we call a dry run or a test run with all our officials and part of the route, and from that we expect to deliver a world-class event.
Meanwhile, rally fans in the country await the official date for the return of rallying, with the task force already in place working on the protocols released last Friday by Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohammed.
We're going to tweak the championship a bit, maybe come up with proposals to shorten the competitive distance for Kenya National Rally Championships, and look at different venues that are not going to be very costly to the competitors, because you know a lot of our competitors rely on sponsorships, and most of the corporate sponsors are suffering as a result of reduced demand of business. So with all those challenges, as a federation, we will respond by trying to see how best we can support the competitors and how best we can support our sponsors and the organizing teams and clubs to make sure that we resume safely and we make sure that the championship continues.
Elsewhere, the World Rally Championship WRC has already confirmed a total of 9 rallies for the 2021 calendar, although more events are expected to be added later on to the schedule.
And now Deputy President William Ruto has called for equal participation of people living with disabilities in the country. While hosting representatives of people living with disabilities at his current residence in Nairobi, Ruto argued that athletes living with disabilities ought to be accorded equal opportunities as well as remuneration from their counterparts.
Kila mwanaspoti wanaposhiriki katika michezo ya kimataifa, wakipata ushindi, kuna vile serikali ya Kenya itawashughulikia. Na tumesema for those who get gold, they will be paid 1 million shillings. For those who get silver, they will get 500,000. And those who get bronze, they will get 250,000. Na hatutaki kuwe na ubaguzi. Tunataka kila mtu ambaye ameshiriki katika michezo wa aina zote washughulikiwe na serikali ya Kenya, vile tunashughulikia wanariadha, vile tunashughulikia footballers, vile tunashughulikia volleyballers and all the other fields of sport. Na hata watu wanaoishi na ulemavu are not an exception. They are sportsmen, they are sportswomen, they are sports people, and they deserve equal treatment.
And now English Premier League stadiums will remain closed to supporters next month after the youth... Sorry, I'll take that again. English Premier League stadiums will remain closed to supporters next month after the UK government abandoned plans to allow clubs to stage a tentative reopening of grounds from October 1st following a resurgence of cases of COVID-19. Meanwhile, Manchester United travel to Bedfordshire tonight to take on Championship side Luton Town as the Carabao Cup third round fixtures commence.
Low-scale test events have been carried out recently ahead of the anticipated reopening of grounds at a limit of 30% capacity from October 1st. However, due to the meanwhile, last year's English Premier League Player of the Year, Kevin De Bruyne...
He scored on the last day of last season in the Premier League. Can he open the scoring? Move just oozed class and quality.
A Raul Jimenez header got Wolves batted under the tutelage of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, lost 3-1 to Crystal Palace in their season opener on Saturday night.
And now Fernando Alonso has formally begun preparations for his Formula One comeback with Renault next year by returning to the team's Enstone factory. Alonso is replacing Daniel Ricciardo. Now the two-time world champion has resigned for the team. He drove for across 2 stints in the 2000s, winning both his titles and claiming the majority of his victories. Renault says the 39-year-old has met with the team's engineers to look ahead to 2021, while the visit would have been Alonso's first look developed UK base. Alonso's return to Enston will coincide with his rebranding as Alpine, when they will also take on Renault-owned sports car makers French blue colors. Well, that's it from the Channel 1 News team tonight. As always, thank you, Kenya, for watching. My name is Achieng'a. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Lucy Mwaura. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing, but of course, up next is the weather report with Yusuf Farah. How does your weather look like? Here are the details. Good night and God bless.
Good evening and a warm welcome to you wherever you're watching us from. This is Channel 1 Weather Updates. My name is Yusuf Farah. Now, dry weather conditions continue to prevail in most parts of our country tonight. In the western region, however, there will be rainfall, and in Mombasa, there will be slight showers. Narok is the coldest tonight. Temperatures are standing at as low as 11 degrees Celsius. So for you Narok residents, remember to keep warm. This is how things will be looking in the morning tomorrow. Warm, sunny intervals continue to prevail in most parts of the country, but in the coastal region, Mombasa, Kwale and Kilifi, if you are planning a walk by the beach in the morning, hold that thought because there will be showers with sunny intervals. Residents of Lake Turkana region and its environs expect rainfall and sunny intervals. In the afternoon, sunny intervals continue to prevail in most parts of the country, but as you can see in the coastal region, change is not there as much. So if you're going about your business in the region, remember to carry an umbrella with you. Residents of Kisumu expect cloudy conditions with sunny intervals. Looking at the temperatures in our country tomorrow, Mandera standing at 38 as the high temperature and lows of 26, Kisumu standing at 28, lows of 18. And here in the country's capital, Nairobi, temperatures standing at highs of 26 and lows of 13. And on that note, we have finished the local weather forecast. I leave you with the international weather forecast. Remember to stay safe, stay warm, and have a lovely night.